All right, welcome back. It's time for us to have a conversation on this nutrition segment. And we're going to be talking today about intermittent fasting, all the ins and outs of that. We're going to get into it right away. Now, Akosua Konadu Yiadom has joined me on the show, on the set this morning, and she is a state-registered nutritionist, and she's going to help us to get into the subject matter. Good morning, Akosua.
Good morning, Kuku.
How are you?
I'm awesome. Yourself?
Fantastic. I'm very good, thank you. So, intermittent fasting, why do we ever deploy it? What are the benefits of it, and so on and so forth?
Okay, so intermittent fasting, it's a program, let me say, or a therapy where you draw the lines between eating moments and fasting moments.
Okay.
So there are periods or there are times you are eating and times you are fasting and not starving yourself.
Okay. What does that mean?
So last week, I want this segment to run in such a way that everything we will discuss will support whatever resolutions we made last week. And one of the key things not to do in 2021 was not to starve ourselves. Why not to starve yourself? Sometimes you are not deliberately starving yourself, by you skipping meals will in a way starve you. So we are not skipping meals as part of one of our to-dos. We are not skipping meals in 2021. Now, you are fasting and not starving yourself. There is a difference.
Okay.
When you are starving yourself, it's you deliberately denying yourself of food or glucose, and if there is no glucose for your body to work with, obviously the body will start to now burn the fat in your system. When it is done with that, where are we going from there? So you don't go beyond a certain number of hours. If it's an intermittent fast, you should be careful, because once it goes beyond 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, it becomes dangerous. So depending on the package you are choosing, there is the 5:2 ratio therapy package, and there is the 16/8 hours therapy package. That is depending on which one you decide to do. What do I mean by the 16/8 therapy package? That is for the type of package you would want to have. You are staying off food, or you are fasting for 16 hours and eating for 8 hours. 16 plus 8 will give you 24 hours. So within the 24 hours in a day, you are not eating for 16 hours. You are eating for 8 hours out of it. That is a package. And now the 5:2 ratio package also is, you are going with your regular meals for the 5 days of the week, and the other 2 days you are eating, let's say, a meal. So let's say for Monday to Friday, I will go with my regular breakfast, lunch, supper, and my 2 healthy snacks or in-betweens. That is from Monday to Friday. For Saturday, Sunday, because I am doing intermittent fasting, I would want to take a meal on Saturday and then sustain myself with 0-caloric foods like water, black coffee, or tea.
Okay.
And then Sunday, repeat the same thing. This is something I have decided on.
Resume on Monday.
Yes, then you resume on Monday to the regular or the normal. So that is the 5:2 ratio as far as the type of package you would want. And we have the 16/8 package too. So just know that intermittent fasting is not about, oh, I'm eating a lot of salads, I'm eating a lot of Mediterranean diet, and so I think that I am doing intermittent fasting. There is a zone you need to be in if you are doing intermittent fast, and there are supplements now saying that it gives you that zone, but you can be in that zone naturally if you are following the perfect timing or if you are choosing the right package. Now, the supplement, they say meta switch, but when your body naturally enters that zone, it's like the metabolic switching zone, and that is the genesis acquire, or that gives intermittent fasting what it needs to have. So if you are not getting there, you meet a lot of people thinking they are doing something they are not doing. So depending on the package you are on, you should know that, okay, if I'm eating for the 8 hours and fasting for the 16 hours, this is the time I have to start. And I have to make sure that within the 8 hours, whatever I need to eat, if it's, let's say, my 2 meals plus a snack, I need to make sure they are all fitting into the 8 hours, and then the other 16 hours I am doing the fasting just to achieve the results, and making sure that I give my body the chance to enter into that zone of the metabolic switching.
Okay, so what are the benefits of this? Why would anybody want to deploy intermittent fasting? What are the benefits of
Okay, so the benefits of intermittent fast, it improves on thinking and memory.
Okay.
Now, once it has to do with the brain runs on obviously glucose.
Yeah.
And I believe that just like any factory, at a point you need to kind of tone down, allow for greasing to be done, some cleaning to be done in a factory. If you are into intermittent fasting, if you are doing it the healthy way, you will help your brain as far as improving on your memory. Everything that has to do with your brain health will be improved on. Okay. And then it improves on your heart health, especially with your BP and then your resting, heart rates. Now, if you are doing this, I always say that science will tell you, if I am fasting, now there is nothing for the body to burn as far as glucose is concerned. Yeah. Now your body begins to burn the fats in your system. And one way to improve on our heart health is to make sure that the passageway of blood is cleared. And so if there is any fat lying in any places or at any point in time in any channel through which blood travels, because of this therapy or intermittent fasting, your body has entered into a place where metabolic switching is going on. And so there is a natural cleansing as far as taking care of the fats in your body is concerned, and this will affect your heart health. And then improves on physical performance, that is maintaining muscle mass in younger men, and helps with fat loss. That was a research. So everything, I always say that whatever we are reading on the internet, we should make sure that it is coming from a credible source. Everything we are talking about is research based, and according to Dr. Mark Matson, who has researched into intermittent fasting for a period of 25 years. He works with the Johns Hopkins Medicine Center. Now, so it means that everything we are talking about is evidence-based, and so it's something you can really appreciate. And if you really are doing everything we are talking about, you should expect to see the results we are talking about. In the research, younger men who were doing intermittent fasting had an increased, or their physical performance level had increased, and then they had lost fat, obviously because of the metabolic switching thing that happens, and they had maintained muscle mass. So for people who sometimes are like, we are losing weight, some of us trying to find some kg back, this is where we can pick the clue from. And before you even start the intermittent fast in the first place, ask yourself, why are you doing it? Are you doing it to lose weight? Then it will let you know what to even add on your plate. Are you doing it to maintain weight? Are you doing it to prevent or reduce your risk of some non-communicable conditions? Because intermittent fast, research supports it 100%. Yes, it helps reduce the risk of some diseases like heart conditions or heart diseases, type 2 diabetes, and then neurodegenerative disorders, and a lot of other chronic conditions. For some people, it will prevent it. But let's say you have a family history. My grandmother has diabetes type 2. And so as far as family history is concerned or genetics is concerned, I have a certain percentage or chances. And so for me, if I am doing this or indulging in this, I will be reducing the risk of me having it. Yes, and so that is it. And then it helps also with weight loss and then reduce risk of diabetes, like I've spoken about, and it improves on tissue health and reduce damage to the tissues of the body. So it is a healthy thing to do, but first you need to ask a nutritionist and your doctor.
Okay.
One of them before you go in for it, because it's not for everybody.
Okay. What sort of meal plans should we be looking at if you're doing intermittent fasting? Let's say you say you're doing the 16 by 8. Yeah. What sort of meal plan will you be looking at in the 8-hour period that you're eating? Okay,
so let's say that's for the 16-8 package. I would want to start my breakfast at 8 a.m. Now, I can decide to go for 2 slices of toasted bread with 1 teaspoon spread of melted cheese, cheddar cheese for that matter, the healthiest, and then go for 1 boiled egg, and then 2 ladles of corn porridge, and then with 40 ml low-fat milk, and then 2 cubes of sugar for my breakfast. So for breakfast at 8, this is what I will be having. And then for my AM snack at 10 a.m., I would want to have 2 sardine tin size equivalent of cubed watermelon. So I'll measure 2 of the sardine tin size as far as watermelon is concerned, cube it, and decide to have that as my AM snack. And then for lunch at 1 p.m., I can have 2 stew spoons of fish in palava sauce, and then 2 ladles leveled of plain rice, not heaped. And then at 4, you know, this can't go the regular way, because the timing might be affected, and there are people who may go like, I don't even have space to accommodate the 3 meals and even do the 2 in betweens. So if you want to do, this is an example of the 16 by 8 therapy package. Now at 4 p.m. I want to have my supper, 2 ladles of vegetables in mpoto, or what and there's a cans called nuhu, and people call mpoto. So as far as my 8 hours are concerned, these are the meals I'll be having from 8 to 4 p.m. 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I would have done justice to the 8 hours that I'm supposed to eat, and now I leave the 16 hours, the other 16 hours to be my fasting movements, and then sustain myself on 0 caloric foods like water, and then let's say black coffee or tea, anything that is low or 0 on calories, because if you are fasting and you feel you are hungry and decide to go for a cup of Milo, you are not doing intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is, if it's the 16-8, you are eating for the 8 hours, and then fasting for the 16 hours. It is to allow your body to enter into the metabolic switching period, where some are taking supplement for it. If you don't enter that zone, it's like you meet people, they are doing everything they think, but they are not achieving results. If you feel hungry within the 16 hours, go for 0 caloric intake of foods. And I've given examples: water, teas with 0 calories, and then black coffee, for example, will help you. And then make sure you fast for the 16 period. So that would be an example of a plan for the day as far as somebody who has decided to go for the 16 by 8 therapy package is concerned. Okay,
can you talk to us about foods that help burn fat?
Okay, so for the foods that will help you burn fats, for instance, there are people who may want to be on the intermittent fast to lose weight. One, for me trying to maintain or trying to bulk up, my needs might be different, but if you are unhappy with your weight and you want to lose weight, there are certain things you should be conscious about as far as what sits on your plate is concerned. Now, vegetables, a classical example of a vegetable to make sure sits on your plate is broccoli or spinach. If you can't afford it, dandelion is everywhere. You can just go to somebody's house, beg them, I want to pick some dandelions, and you'll be allowed to take it. And then plant-based protein. Now we have the animal source protein. No. If you want to lose weight, go with the plant-based protein. So let's say I would take chicken, you would want to go for beans. Do you get it? So that you can achieve the results you want to achieve. Remember, I am maintaining and preventing my risk of chronic diseases. You are shedding weight. And so whatever sits on your plate should influence your body's ability to burn fat. And then fruits in general, oats eggs, fish, and garlic. These are examples that can help you as far as foods to be conscious of on your plate.
Yeah.
And you should pick a heavy clue. This affects people who want to lose weight as far as intermittent fasting is concerned, and for even us all in general on the intermittent fast plan. You need to make sure you are planning with the Mediterranean diet chart in your mind, where you have the whole grains being at the base, where you have fruits and vegetables following, and then you have the essential oils taking the next spot. That is the Mediterranean diet we are speaking about, and then you have the seafoods also following in that order.
Okay.
So when you check the Mediterranean diet, you can see how the presentation is done. You should be guided on these and the choices you make. When you pick a typical Mediterranean diet, you find the meat or red meat at the apex.
Okay.
So it means that it should be the least on your plate. I said pick a cue or clue from it. I never said that you shouldn't, you should cut yourself off drastically,
Entirely,
because you realize that when people are doing this, they want drastic results. You didn't gain this thing in a drastic way, so you should make sure you do it in a safer way. And intermittent fast is not for everybody. If you're a pregnant woman, a lactating woman or a breastfeeding mother, stay off it. If you have children below 18, intermittent fasting is not good for them. You wouldn't grow in height. Again, you've evolved.
Yeah.
But for a child is still evolving. And so you wouldn't want to deprive a child of certain nutrients at a certain period because you think that you want to help. They don't need it if they are not 18.
Okay.
So it's not for a child, it's not for pregnant lactating mothers, and it's also not for everybody. You need to make sure you ask your caregiver before you choose to be on an intermittent fast. And then there is another group I want to focus on as far as people who are not supposed to do it. Diabetic patients or people with issues with their blood sugar levels.
Okay.
There are people who sometimes they do have spikes and then they can go low or hypo. I have been there before. If it's something I keep finding myself in, I have to be careful as far as being on intermittent fast is concerned. And people with eating disorders or people who have had issues or history of eating disorders, you should be guided. You should talk to a professional nutritionist first.
All right. So if you can just summarize for us the two types of intermittent fasting, the 16/8 and then the 5/2. Just go into that for us.
Okay, so I'll quickly go through this. One, I need to give them clues for this intermittent fasting thing. One, you consult a nutritionist or doctor, choose a plan like the 16/8 or the 5:2 I'm talking about. And the 16/8 is you are fasting for 16 hours and then eating for 8 hours. And we gave a classical example of how a meal plan for the day as far as the 16/8 is concerned. Now, we gave you a healthy packed breakfast for the day. We gave you an AM snack. That is, the breakfast was 8 a.m. We gave you an AM snack at 10 a.m. We gave you a lunch at 1 p.m. and then we gave you supper at 4 p.m. to make due for the 8 hours you are supposed to eat, and the remaining 16 hours you are supposed to be on a fast. And I said that if for any reason you feel hungry or you feel there's something you need to put in there, make sure it contains 0 calories. And an example of something that is of 0 calorie is water, black coffee, or tea. Yes, so if it's the 5:2 package that you are choosing also, now you eat your regular breakfast, lunch, supper, and then your 2 snacks or at least 1 snack for the day. If you are choosing the 5:2 package, you eat, let's say, Monday to Friday, that is the 5 days, your regular meals, and then the 2 other days, that is Saturday, Sunday, you eat a meal. So you can go for a heavy meal once a day and sustain yourself still with the 0 caloric food for Saturday and Sunday. So it's like a ritual. That is what you do. I do this every Sunday for the first 12 hours of the day. So from 1 a.m. to 12 noon, I am not eating. For the other 12 hours, I won't eat the whole 12 hours. So it is something that does your body a lot of good, and so you can do it with whatever we've spoken about. If you are doing it this way, it is the safest and the healthiest. And then your body will take 2 to 4 weeks sometimes for it to appreciate whatever you are doing. And so don't assume that once you started, you have to start seeing results. And if you are doing intermittent fast and you zoom into junk food, that is for the clues. If you zoom, okay, so I've fasted, now my 8 hours has come. I have to do everything I need to do. You would defeat everything you want to do. We've given you clues how to eat. Stick with the Mediterranean diet as a guide, and then it will be of good health for you. And when you start feeling certain anxieties, when you begin to feel that your body is kind of feeling, you are feeling in a certain way that on the regular you wouldn't feel, it is time for you to go to be like, maybe this thing is not working. Headaches, nauseousness, and you beginning to feel dizzy. It means that
so again,
you need
like you said, I mean, consult a doctor, consult a nutritionist
first,
you know,
before you do
get
it.
into it. How can people reach you, Akosua?
Okay, so on Instagram at the nutritionist Akosua, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, nutritionist Akosua. And then you can call me or send me WhatsApp on 0243 350206, 0243 350206.
All right, thank you very much, Akosua.
Thanks for having me.
Konadu Yiadom. She is a state-registered nutritionist, and she's been helping us to understand the ins and outs of intermittent fasting. We'll be right back after this break, but take a look at our entertainment highlights in the meanwhile.